The following is a chapter reading for the Heroes of Remnant, a RWBY Anthology project. This project is made to give RWBY fan-made original characters a chance to shine before animations can be made for them due to budget, time, and animation limitations. Wonder, Blossom, Violet, and Jasper are creations of Camman156 and Can Do Attitudes NTL, and are not officially recognized by Viz Media. Thank you, and please enjoy.
Camman156 Studio presents Heroes of Remnant, a RWBY Anthology, written by Camman156 and Can Do Attitudes NTL. Read by Kira Rhodes. Music by Nalik Noteworks. This production is a fan-based work. RWBY is owned by Viz Media. Please support the official release. Team Wonder. Chapter 1. A Wondrous Day for Green. Wonderful and wonderful was the sky. Shooting stars flash in her eyes. Wendy smiles brightly at the view overhead. Her head of long curly red hair was like a pillow on the desert sand. She could hear Marina, her sister, packing up the picnic basket full of teacups. Wendy loved having tea with her sisters, Marina and Millie. Why their mother loved the letter Y made quite sure they all had one in their names. Marina sighed to herself. Wendy could hear, as Marina began folding the checkered blanket next. "You know, sister," Wendy said, her voice so joyful as always. "You'd make an excellent mailwoman with your semblance." Marina chuckled. "Why's that? Because I can store as many things as I want in pockets or bags?" It was true. Marina had a wonderful ability. A semblance which was a special power people of Remnant could unlock in a variety of ways. Wendy smiled. Wendy still remembered when Marina had unlocked her semblance. They had been packing for a vacation when they were much younger, and Marina had basically packed all of their clothes, books, and toys, and still had room in their suitcase. So the three sisters that vacation tried getting her to stuff as many things as she could in the suitcase. Yet they never found a concrete end. Then again, even now, Marina hadn't tried anything too mad, like a full bed or a person. Wendy smiled at the memory. "Of course, you'd be so good you put carrier birds out of business," Wendy said happily. She nearly always found a reason to smile. She turned her vibrant green eyes on her sister, rolling onto her stomach and propping her head up to watch her. Marina was lanky and tall, with frizzy snow-white hair and bright yellow eyes. She wore a blue short-sleeved coat, open with a black bra underneath. Along with that, she had tan slacks that had a long pant leg on one side, while being cut extremely short on the other. Unlike Wendy, Marina had two long white rabbit ears on her head. Both of Wendy's sisters were faunus, though Wendy was only human. Still, none of them had a care in the world about that. Despite having different fathers, they were all as close as can be, loving each other's company quite fondly. Wendy was the youngest and most creative. Marina was the eldest and the most skilled at cooking and baking. Then there was Millie, the middle child, who was the most ambitious and fierce. "Oi, are we going or what?" Millie asked with a pout. Millie had short green hair, blue eyes, and a thin mouse tail. She was rather short, at only 4'7", being the shortest of the three sisters. Her outfit consisted of a puffy white blouse with a corset and green shorts. "Positively," Marina said. "Absolutely?" Wendy asked excitedly. "Indubitably," Marina confirmed. The three sisters laughed together. Soon after that, they made their way back within the city of Vacuo. The city itself was vast and full of narrow alleyways, street vendors, or even cloth overhangs. However, it was interestingly hard to get lost if you were raised here like the sisters had been. Nearly no matter where you were, you could see the large towering structure of Shade Academy. It was the best landmark a person could ask for, in Wendy's opinion. Alas, she'd be saying goodbye to it soon, when she made her departure for Vale and its fabled Beacon Academy. The sisters eventually made it to their home, a large wooden travel wagon painted red, green, white, and orange, seemingly haphazardly, with a sign on the side that reads, "The Flutterwagon Tri-Sister Shop of Knick-Knacks and Knack-Nicks." Wendy skipped ahead and opened the door with a curtsy. Myrna and Millie returned the curtsy as they stepped in, and Wendy followed after. The inside of the wagon was large. At the back was a large triple-deck bunk bed, one green, one red, and one green. On one side of the wagon was so many teacups and pots, all clean and stacked rather nicely, though high up. Myrna would sell tea wherever they travel, finding it such a mighty easy thing to prepare. In another part of the wagon was Millie's furnace, anvil, and hammer, from which she made weapons for people. In the last section of the wagon was a mess of cloth, leather, pins, and other materials. Hats were hung all around and above the area in all shapes and sizes, hats that Wendy herself made all by hand. She was rather skilled at it, and was often scolded by her sisters, as she oftentimes got so excited to see her customers wearing hats that she would forget to get payment. At her desk, however, sat her little communication device, next to her own personal hat. Her scroll. Its screen was blinking, signaling a message.
"Oh dear, I seem to have been contacted,"
Wendy said, skipping over before twirling to take the scroll. She opened it to see a message.
"Wendy Trilby, we hereby accept your application to Beacon Academy."
Wendy froze, her vibrant green eyes turning a light blue. Millie noticed her sister's dismay.
"Wendy, what's wrong?"
Millie asked. Wendy's expression turned to a wide-eyed excitement with a large, toothy grin.
"I've been accepted! Such a wondrous day!"
Wendy snatched her hat, a red top hat with feathers in the brim along with a few pins and a button on the side. It was both fashionable and deadly. Her weapon and greatest creation made with the skills of her and her sisters combined. A top hat as a weapon, named Fez. She flipped it up, it landing perfectly atop her head before grabbing a red scarf and a long green fancy coat. Once she had it all on, she turned to her sisters with glee.
"A fabulous, wondrous day!"
Wendy exclaimed. Alio couldn't wait for the transport. He was dressed in shining silver armor with his weapon strapped to his back. A silver shield that could shift into a long sword. It could also infuse the blade with the ever-so-powerful and common natural resource, dust. It was named Frabjus, after a dream he'd had when he was younger. Looking over his shoulder, he couldn't help but smile at the sight of Atlas Academy. His father was undoubtedly up there now, Captain Orrin Horney, watching him prepare to part. Alio was pulled from his thoughts from two figures approaching him. Both were familiar from several parties that Alio had been required to attend due to his father's position in the military. The first was a young woman with long white, which seemed to have been rebelliously cut a bit shorter on the left side. Her ice blue eyes and cold expression always gave her away in a crowd. "Winter," Alio greeted, giving a light bow. Winter cracked a rare smile and looked in an inconspicuous glance around before giving him a small hug. Alio returned it. When they parted, Winter's expression fell slightly.
"Everything is going to be different now,"
she said. Alio couldn't help but agree. "I'm counting on it," Alio stated. "The world is changing. It's best we change with it. Into the spiraling, wondrous wilderness of newdom." Winter giggled.
"Newdom? That's not even a word. It also sounds a bit crass and made up."
Alio's smile widened. "All words are made up." The girl next to Winter scoffed, gaining the attention of the two. Alio recalled her as well. Weiss Schnee, the younger sister of the heiress Winter. Obviously, she had less of a sense of humor. Alio didn't think it possible, given the time and effort it took to get Winter to come to like his comedy.
"It sounds dumb,"
Weiss said rudely. She was a very petite girl, all dressed up and seemingly taking effort to look perfect. Her white hair and ice blue eyes made it impossible to believe she was unrelated to Winter.
Weiss,
Winter warned. Weiss crossed her arms, looking defiant. Winter sighed.
Sorry, Alio. She wanted to see you off as well.
Weiss looked away, her cheeks reddening. Alio raised an eyebrow at her reaction, a slight smile creeping on his face. Oh, is that so? Winter rolled her eyes.
Yep, 10 years old and already more defiant than I was,
Winter commented. She then frowned.
Oh, right. My grandfather wanted to see you off as well, but...
Alio nodded lightly, his expression becoming serious.
He is an inspiring man, and I'll never blame him for the events out of his control. His health is the first priority, not seeing me off,
Alio stated. He pats Winter's shoulder.
Keep by him, yeah?
Winter nodded. That's when the sounds of transport landing drew their attention. Winter took a moment before giving Alio another hug. This one a bit more final.
Good luck,
she said. Alio nodded before parting from her and turning to see Weiss, who was still crossing her arms, but now light tears were in her eyes. Alio kneeled down to her level.
This isn't goodbye forever, Weiss. I'll just be over the sea. I'll be back before you know it,
Alio assured. Weiss's eyes reddened as she ran over and hugged Alio. Alio returned it gently.
Be good to your sister and grandfather. Try to be something your little brother can aspire to be. And don't let anyone, even your father, decide what you should be. Be what you choose to be.
Weiss nodded gently to those parting words as Alio stood and turned towards the transport.